Today, Open Source Security is talking to Didier, who I'm going to let you introduce yourself because I'm really excited for this project you have because this is a space I have absolutely no knowledge of. So Didier, take it away and let us know who you are and why you're here.
So hello, I'm Didier Barzin. I'm a CISO in a hospital in Luxembourg, and I have made a project for mapping the information system. The idea of this project comes from a guide from the ANSSI, which is equivalent with an organization in France to manage information security. They've made a guide mapping the information system, and when I've read this book, I find this document, I find it fantastic. Then I searched for an implementation, and there were no implementations that at that time that satisfies me. It was about 5 years ago. The problem that I was facing is that our organization, other also, becomes more and more bigger. It's not uncommon now to find an organization, a hospital with a few hundreds applications, 1,000 virtual machines, networks, VLANs, physical rooms, and so on. And when you are a CISO, you have to protect all these information systems. But to protect it, you have to get a knowledge of what is important, who use it, what is connected to what speaks to what, how is it connected. And so you start going to your different team, you go to the network team, you go to the infrastructure team, and they're all managing Excel sheets. This is the tools they use.
Yes.
And you to collect all these sheets, and you start looking at this, and then you find gaps between the sheet. There is a machine with and there is an application. The application is not in the list of the other application. You have an application that you don't know where it's installed. And when you go to the doctor or to the nurse and to the different department, they'll talk about applications that are not in the list of applications. And you cannot secure that kind of environment. So that's why I realized that I really needed to create a map. And then the COVID comes. Then they say to people, please don't come to the hospital if you are not absolutely needed. And so I start having times to build the tools I really needed, the tools I always wanted to have. So I start developing Mercator and start working correctly. Then I share it with my other colleagues in other hospital in Luxembourg. That I've put this project on GitHub and start working, and I have more and more users that use these tools. So the basic idea of Mercator is to create a map of the information system. So in place of putting the object in a separate list, it's really to create a graph of all objects that compose your information system. Then you know when you have an application, who is responsible for this application, how many users there is in this application, who is responsible for the management of this application, who is doing the support, where is it installed, on what logical server, this logical server, whether is it installed on a physical server, and so on. And we have a complete graph object. There are about 20 or 30 different type of objects that are created in this graph, and that allow us in the IT teams, between the different people, to share this information, to update it, to maintain all this knowledge. And it's really start really from the top, the infrastructure, the ecosystem view, where we have our provider and the relationship we have with them, down to the physical objects, the servers, the rooms, and the equipment in the rooms. And it really helps us to maintain all these informations. It is used in a lot of different in a lot of measures from the ISO 27001. For example, inventory of information, proper use information, classification of information, location and protection of equipment, and so on. It really helped to in the ISO 2001. It really helped us to put all this process in place.
Sure. Okay. So that's a lot to unpack. And I'm going to start with my, I guess, initial reaction. You reached out to me and said, hey, I have this project. I'm a CISO at a hospital, and this is something. Now, I've never been in a hospital environment. I've spoken with various people at hospitals, be it security people or, IT people, or even doctors and nurses. And the amount of equipment that exists in a hospital is mind-boggling. And it's not even just that there's a lot of equipment to keep track of. There's also like useful lifespans of the equipment. Like the old adage of like, don't run Nmap on this network because you'll crash the CAT scan machine, right? That's the one everyone, I know someone that's literally done that before. They got yelled at. It's like
Mhm.
bananas, right? Okay. So this is why I wanted to talk to you though, because I have absolutely no knowledge about this sort of environment and what it means and how it works. And so I thought this is a perfect example where I can learn from someone who actually knows what they're doing. And hopefully a lot of other people can too. So let's rewind a little bit. And you talked about just kind of inventories of stuff, right?
Mhm.
When, so you said all of the different departments were, well, I don't know if are or were is the correct word to use in this instance, but they were using Excel to track inventories. So I'm curious,
Mhm.
what does a world look like where you have Excel to track inventories and then you as the security person has to try to create actionable output from a bunch of horrible spreadsheets?
Uh, Yes, so first you have to put this spreadsheet in these tools and start verifying that it is up to date, that it corresponds to reality. That's your main objective. So first you ask people to enter it, or you enter it with, and then you start reviewing it, understanding what it is, how it is connected, who is responsible for all these equipments, how they are connected, what they are doing, what is the criticality of a business process they are serving. There are some equipment that you can. They can fail for a few days, but there are equipments that 1 or 2 hours of failure is a catastrophe. So you have to identify all these type of equipment, and then you have to protect them, separate them in different specific networks, and verify that they are in this specific network to protect them and separate of these equipments.
Okay, so that is not a concept I've ever had to deal with where you have different networks for different equipment. So in your tool, is it Mercator? Is that correct? I want to make sure
Oui,
I'm not
Mercator is okay.
mispronouncing it. Mercator, okay, close enough, right? But so do you have the ability to scan the networks for systems, or do you trust the data that's entered that it's where someone said it's on this network, so we're going to say it's on this network?
Okay. Uh, it's really difficult to automate your cartography. It's
Sure.
uh, it's it's a manual process. There are no
Okay.
solutions. There is no artificial intelligence, no network scanning that can do it for you. It's really manual, and the role of the CISO, the role of the IT teams, is to verify that this inventory is up to date. And most of the time, you do it manually. You get a list, you get a report, and you compare it. You can compare it to a network scan. It's a good input. You check that there is no IP address that are not on the list, or no equipment that should not be on this VLAN. That's good, but then you have to physically go to some department to check the equipment are present, check in IT rooms that we do at least once a year to verify that it corresponds to what is supposed to be present there.
Holy cow, that's got to be a job going
Mhm.
around.
Yes.
So your security team goes out and verifies the
Yes.
equipment once a year.
Yes, we do it. Yeah,
Wow.
it's not only physical, but it's logical. You extract the list of all your virtual machines, your cloud environments, and you compare it to what is in Mercator. And then you start asking, why is it different? Well,
Sure.
this virtual machine has disappeared. Why? There is a new virtual machine. Okay, what business support is what what application are installed there, and what we support in this.
Oh
And
my
it's
goodness.
help us a lot to have an understanding of all the information system. And then we also identify flows between applications. We identify network routes, and you can also get down to physical cables
Oh my goodness.
if you want.
Uh,
And then Mercator can draw for you your physical network as it's supposed to be.
right. Right. Yes. Your pictures are very pretty in the tool. I
Mhm.
know I scrolled through your GitHub page, which I'll put a link to the GitHub and all that stuff in the show notes. The graphs are amazing. And so I I'm going to ask a question, and excuse me for sounding like an idiot, but
Mhm.
before you had a graph like this, you didn't have a graph of your network, did you?
Yes, we had a graph of our networks, of
No,
course.
I'm saying
And
before Mercator, did
before
you
Mercator,
make you made graphs?
we already had graphs, and they still maintain graphs, network graphs, but Mercator help us to have another view of it. They still maintain
Okay.
the classical network graph, and I may
Okay.
understand it's a complete paradox to move to what they have to do to Mercator, and so I accept they still maintain, but I see a lot of errors in these graphs they make by themselves.
I can imagine. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, and you think, I imagine if you have a graph and you have Excel and you have all these other tools, humans were trying to keep them in sync, where now you're using the inventory to build the graph, which is removing a manual step. And humans obviously make mistakes constantly.
Hmm.
Holy
Yes,
cow.
and it's difficult to update it. And so in Mercator, you have also a little tool for drawing objects as it is in the cartography. So it's kind of a little editor. You can place your object from the that comes from the cartography. When you take an object, you can double click on the object and it opens all the links you have and you can place the object. And you can remove the object you don't want to see in the graph. You can add notes and so on. You can save it. And when you view the graph, you click on the object and directly you jump to the page with the definition of the object.
Oh, that's
This is
cool.
really a dynamic. And it also, when you change something in the cartography, you go to your map, you edit it, and you say update. And check all object, and object that disappear from the cartography, from this schema. Names are changed, links are updated, and so it's a bit automate graph
Oh,
management.
that's the dream. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, so walk me through what kind of a typical workflow looks like if someone is looking to add a piece of equipment to your environment. Like, where do we start? How does Mercator come into play? What does the approval process look like? Because I'm completely ignorant of what happens in a hospital system. In my world, we just plug stuff in and we're like, great, good job, everybody, we're done. Right?
Yes. I see more and more organizations that use or API. There is a REST API in Mercator. And so they have
Okay.
the classic procurement system for giving a PC to someone or to create virtual machines or so on. And they have a process most of the time for doing it that is partly automated. And then at the end, there is a REST API and you can push something in Mercator with this REST API. That's one way. The other classical way is doing it through a form. You select the object, type you want to enter, you click add, and you have to enter these informations. Depends a little bit what is your level of maturity, what is your level of integrations with the tool.
Sure, sure. And so has your team approved the equipment before it gets entered into Mercator, or is entering it into Mercator step one and then your team reviews or approves or whatever process that encompasses?
Okay, there is no approval process yet in Mercator. This is something we are working on, and this is new ideas
Okay.
we are building. Most of the time, it is the people that are responsible for management for the management of these equipments that enter
Okay.
it in Mercator to share it with other teams.
I see. So approval has happened elsewhere prior
Mhm.
to this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I gotcha. So can I ask, what is that's something you're willing to share? Like, what does approval look like for a security at a hospital?
Oh, it's a ticketing system, traditional ticketing system we have with approval from CIO or depending on the type of equipment you have to enter.
Okay.
There is different type of workflow you have to follow.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. So
And
what about compliance? So this is the other piece I suspect that is always interesting when we have tooling is you have to generate reports on a regular basis for auditors and, well, probably a ton of governing bodies, I'm sure, in the healthcare industry. So what about reporting with Mercator? What does that look like?
so yes, you can export various type of report out of Mercator. The first report that you can generate is really the complete mapping of the information system. It's a one Word document with everything, and you have on this Word document the table of content, You can click, you can go to the object, and all the objects are linked in the document, and so you can really browse all your cartography in the Word documents. That's one thing. Then you can have different reports, for example, the applications, all your applications with the criticity of the application, where it is installed, what is the provider, who's using it, the criticity, the RPO of the application, and so on, all these kind of information. We have physical inventories. We can get a report. We have report on our logical server, the analysis of security equipment, the logical server configurations. We have some report of the audit when you can compute with Mercator a maturity model, a maturity level, and so it get you the maturity level of all your equipments. Something I'm not told yet about. So Mercator is an idea that comes from the guide from the ANSI. They've introduced a concept of granularity and maturity models. So when an object has no description, has no type, when an object is not linked to another one, for example, an application that serves no business process, an application that's not installed on a server, or a server without a logical server without a physical server, is considered as not conform. And then we compute the number of conform elements divided by the number total of elements, and we have a percentage of maturity. And so we compute it for the whole graph, and then we have dashboards with where are we missing information, so what information are we missing, and we try to a kind of gamification of the mathography to get at 100% to have all the information present in the map.
Wow, that is this is hard to do. Like I don't have anything close to this level of complexity, but I can relate to the difficulty of what you're talking about. So you also your tool also says it tracks CVEs. Tell me about, like, vulnerabilities are right up my alley. So what does that mean?
Yes, we have introduced, so you can provide CPE, common platform enumerations, to all your to some object like application servers and so on, and then it regularly checks if there is a CVE matching one of your CPEs, and it does it based on that, but also based on the name of the applications. Classical problem we have in healthcare is that most of our application used in the healthcare does not have a CVE yet.
Yeah,
And so they don't have a CPE, and so you cannot find them if something is popping. And so as we have hundreds of applications, we also search for CVE based on the name of the application.
sure,
So
sure.
it generates every day some false positive, but it's better to have some false positive than true negative.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you were using a tool called, I think it was called vulnerability lookup's a new one.
CVE search. It's
Yes.
also it's a project from the CISO, from the circle.
Right, which actually I talked to that crew a couple episodes ago,
Yes.
Cedric and Alexander, because you're in Luxembourg, you said, as well as they are, which Luxembourg is turning out to be like a powerhouse of computer security, which I love. But this is one of the problems they're trying to solve is, yes, there aren't CPEs for everything. The data sucks. There's a lot of work to do, and which is really cool because, yes, you are correct. Like in your environment, I suspect false positives are better than false negatives in generally speaking, right?
Yes, if not too much, it's okay.
Yeah. Oh man, I keep thinking about what you're working on and what you're doing, and it's like when I make a mistake, nothing happens. When you make a mistake, people are literally going to die, and I like just can't even imagine.
Yes. It's difficult. I've discovered a usage for Mercator, which was not my first objective, is that the help desk in the hospital is using Mercator a lot.
Yeah,
Because you have a few hundred applications, and when they are called during the night, a nurse is calling or a doctor is calling saying, application X is not working. And I never heard about it. And they don't know what to do. So they go in Mercator, they look what is application X, who's using it, what business processes is proposing for it, what is the criticality of this application, and they know then if they have to call level 2, or they have simply to create a ticket for Monday morning.
Holy cow. I never thought of that use case, but that's brilliant. Because, yes, I mean, in any reasonable sized organization, hospital or not, the help desk doesn't know everything going on because there's just too much to know. Oh man, that's a cool idea. I've never thought of that. And okay, so let me repeat back what you just said. So hopefully I'm understanding. So you're saying help desk gets a report. They use Mercator to understand what the environment is we're talking about. And obviously, if it's a like life and death system, they know they need to wake someone up. But if it's like not at all, something that can wait for the Monday or morning or whatever, wow, that is
Create a ticket.
cool. And I suppose your level 2 people love it because they're not getting woken up in the middle of the night because the vending machine isn't working correctly.
Yes. And they also find the information faster because they immediately can identify where is the database, on which server, which server may I have to restart. So they win a lot of time with using Mercator.
Oh man, and that's true too because they know where it is then. Because I know, like, the old joke of, oh, there's a server running somewhere, we can't find it, and it was in the wall. Someone accidentally built a wall where the server,
It's in the
that,
cloud somewhere.
yeah. Oh my goodness, I know, right? I've done that before. Where it's like my AWS bill has this charge on it, but I'm not quite sure where it's coming from. Like, let's try to figure this out. Oh wow, that's okay. So let me ask about that though. So cloud. Does this handle like cloud situations as well then? Because I mean, the infrastructures we deal with now are way bigger than just like, physical buildings to physical machines.
Uh, so yes, but it's really specific to hospital. We in hospital we have already air conditioning, powerful air conditioning. We also already have resilient electricity. So we have our own
Sure.
computer rooms. And we are on two sides, so you have two computer rooms, and one is a mirror of the second one. And due to miniaturization of servers now, you have 100 virtual machines in one rack. It does not take most of size at it.
Wow. That's cool. Holy cow. I don't, I feel like I don't even know what to do at this point because you've given me this fire hose of information of all these ideas I've never even thought about in the past. This is just a mind-boggling universe you live in, Dieter. Like, okay, rather than sit here and look like a deer in headlights in the camera, I'm going to give you the floor. Like, tell us what you think we need to know. Tell us what's important. Tell us about your project. If people want to get involved, how can they contact you or Mercator or whatever? And let's bring this one home.
Okay. It's an open source project. I've made it open source so
Yeah,
most of people can benefit from it. I've learned a lot from other use case people have given to me, and they've given a lot of ideas on the GitHub, and I find it really fantastic. I see more and more use case in uh, other environment that I didn't know. For now, universities, they start using it, but because they've
Oh,
also really complex environments with tons of people and tons of also infrastructure. Some banking sector that is starting using it because due to DORA, they have an obligation to create a mapping with all their applications. So I start having more and more kind of this kind of users.
okay. I hadn't thought of that, but I'm going to interrupt you for a moment. Yeah, you're right, because universities are filled with, and universities have the additional problem of people show up with who knows what that they plug into networks and connect to Wi-Fi, and wow, oh
Mhm.
man, that's cool.
They also have it's a tool for organization that have quite complex information systems.
Okay, yeah, and that's the lesson, right? Is anyone operating a reasonably complicated environment? And you're right, historically they've used spreadsheets to track this stuff. I mean, the
Mhm.
joke that's not actually a joke or even funny is that like the governments of the world run on Excel spreadsheets. And they totally do. And tooling like this is one of the ways we help with some of that. Because I mean, heck, governments have the same problem, right? Where you've got, countrywide networks doing things. Oh my goodness, this is so cool. Part of me is sad I don't have a use for this particular tool at this time in my career, and part of me is very happy I don't have a use for this particular tool. It's hard work. But it's cool. This is so cool. I mean, this is the dream, right? This is the thing we should want to do, where we take a tool that someone like you can start putting together, and you apply open source to it, and anyone can get involved. So, okay. So tell us about getting involved. What does that look like? If someone is interested, what's step one?
Step one, so clone the GitHub, and there is an installation procedures. We have a Docker version of Mercator, and you can also install it in the traditional virtual machines. It does not consume a lot of resource. It works on a Raspberry Pi or something like that, really small machines, and you can building a team and mapping your information system.
Yeah, cool. And then what about contributing? Like, patches welcome? Do you have a process for
Yes,
submitting PRs or whatever?
I accept pull request. Yes, of course.
Nice.
Contact me
Okay.
before to understand what you are planning to do, but we can discuss it. And of course, I have tons of open discussions already in the GitHub.
Yeah, it's a pretty active GitHub. I mean, it looks good. Like, you're doing a good job. Well done,
Yes,
Didier.
I try to fix bugs as fast as possible. Yes.
That's cool. And I mean, that's always the challenge, right? Is it's always exciting to build the new features, but people need
Mm.
the bugs fixed. I know
Yes.
how it
Okay.
is. Cool, man. Okay. I mean, I want to thank you. I have so much in my brain right now. I can't even
Mhm.
explain it. This has been such a cool conversation, and I have learned so much. And like, I'll have to have you back someday to chat about this stuff, because I feel like the more I learn, the less I know. So thank you so much for filling my brain with questions. This has been awesome.
Thank you, Josh.